Tom Stockmeyer is Managing Director for Government Critical Infrastructure at Cyware. Welcome. It's great to see you. How are you seeing artificial intelligence, large language models, and so on informing the way that the Army and the other services are going about modernizing tasks that they've been doing for a long time?
Well, that's a big question, right? So I'll just start with the premise that we're just at the early stages of AI, if you will. AI is going to become really important for how we project power, right, forward, as well as how we defend the homeland, right, going forward. I'll start with that. And then I'll just touch on what I think this thing called innovation. I think the U.S. won the, we won the industrial age. We won the internet age, if you will, and now we're in the AI age. And I think from a security perspective and scaling up and doing it safely, I think we have to keep government regulation to a minimum. I think there's no better people at innovating than the block of American people, if you will. And I think in order for us to win this AI race, right, which is real important, we have to let the American people innovate to get us there. So let's just, start with that.
Mm-hmm. What does winning look like in your view in a time frame of 10 years, 25 years, whatever?
That is a really good question. So first of all, I think that's unimaginable almost. We're at the beginning stages. Where we'll be 10 years or 15 or 25 years it's kind of hard to know. We've all seen a lot of sci-fi movies and you can guess and dream, but I would say if you think about military, right, Department of Defense, you kind of break it into two groups, offensive capability and defensive capability. If you just start with offensive, and there's obviously not a lot I can talk about, and AI is not new to DoD. They certainly know how to deploy it securely and use it. I think if you can automate your offensive capabilities against that other nation's critical infrastructure or military might, right, you're going to win if you have the upper hand there. If you can't leverage automation and AI to do that, you're probably not going to win, right? And so that offensive capability is paramount. Let's just park that aside. If you look at like the defensive component and you start small, relative to Department of Defense, is very similar to like industry. Everybody has like, for example, starting small, a level 1 security operations center. They all have the same challenges, right? Lack of skilled resources or a lot of turnover. Inconsistent outcomes, because you could have somebody who's been there 10 years and generates an outcome versus somebody who's new or just came out of school. Their outcome of their product for the day may look a little bit different, not as thorough. You have siloed teams and siloed tools, and you're too slow to take action. I think the DoD is already using AI in these cases to overcome these challenges. I think industry is pretty far along. And a couple of months ago, I participated in a one-day workshop with state and local governments. You'd be surprised how far along local governments are in using AI. There was a small 100,000 citizen county that's using AI to do property tax adjudication and appeals for their citizens. And I was like, what? How is that even possible? So there's a lot that goes into it. So I don't know if I answered your question, but I answered the early stage. The late stage is, if you just bear with me for one second, I love this term collective defense. I think that is where things are headed. I think we've tried to do that with applications, with systems, with manual data, with machine data. But imagine a day, whether it's 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now, where AI can take control of different weapons platforms and have the right weapons platform mitigate the threat or knock down the attack in the right application in the right time frame and do that automatically versus some joint operations and people on the phone looking at monitors and trying to do that manually. That is a big deal. I don't think we're there today, but I think that's what the future will look like. It's a little bit scary, but that's what it will look like. Imagine if we could do the same thing for our critical infrastructure. There's this thing called the Holy Trinity with military mobility. And if we could protect rail, aviation, and maritime that the military depends on industry in order to mobilize, as well as water and electric and all that stuff, right? And then think about the 6 military branches, and they each have weapons platforms, right? And if AI could be a layer on top that manages those different weapons platforms, takes command and control at the right times, what you could do with that. So I call all that collective defense. And I think that's the future. I don't think we're there today, but I can't even project past that, right?